son of Tom's only surviving sister, Mary, and his niece, June Prendergast Funeral from Los Angeles, the daughter of his dear brother, Joe. Friends, family friends, and many of you have come from very far to be here with us last evening and again today. You come, I will speak for you, because Tom Prendergast was a good friend to you in his parish assignments with you. The respect that he earned, the love that he enjoyed from you, was truly singular. But as his best friend for so many years, I first met Tom when I was 9 years old in Ireland. His brother Peter married a next-door neighbour to us, Francis O'Brien, a strapping young lad in those days, tall, dark and handsome. And then when I came to San Diego, he became my mentor and friend for all of these many years. We enjoyed time together in parish assignments. And then in retirement, I was so happy to have him with me, because Tom was a man of wisdom, experience, and good pastoral sensitivity, not interfering, but indeed helpful beyond words when I would ask for his advice. Friendship is a challenging reality. It takes time to forge it. Sometimes we don't do well with it, darn it. We make mistakes, and this, of course, we always regret. But nevertheless, Tom and I had a wonderful relationship. He was a sports person, par excellence. Unbelievable. All of Tom's associates over the years, he truly enjoyed. They worked out good relationships, and they are good friends to the very end. I think we have some of them here today, Father Bertwood Wan, Father John Dolan, Father Justin Mongeal, and others who are now moved on. They would certainly validate anything I would say about his interest in sports. He grew up in a sporting family. And in the days when Nick Clavin became an All-Ireland champion twice over in Irish football, Gaelic football, Tom Prendergast would love to have been able to do that, but the summary rigidity system of the day precluded him from being allowed out to play these games. But he was an all-star hurler, one of the best. And his brother Peter became several times over an All-Ireland champion from County Kilkenny. Tom loved hurling. And he transferred that into his game of golf. And there are many of you here who played with him. You know all about his golfing. We won't call it an addiction, but it was a great love. And right up to the latter years of life, he would play with Greg and John Mayo and Ed Ram and Donny Sheehan. And, well, he enjoyed it. It was his art. We have a young doctor here in the parish who I'm preparing for marriage. He's 29, and he tells me he has 6 more years to go in his internship at a local hospital. He's studying intensely stents and angioplastic surgery. So I have said to Andrew Wynne, boy, that's a long time. He said, it's a tough subject, Father Mark. Andrew is a very disciplined sports person and dedicated student in the field of science and medicine. So I said, what's your secret for a fellow like me who's in the golden years of life and not too particular about how I watch my lifestyle? Because my doctor, and I think he's here this morning, tells me to lose weight, and recently I was back to see him for one of these horrible physicals. He said, Mark, you, instead of losing 20 pounds, have gained 7. But Andrew says, Paris spent many months cataloguing his homilies, because each year he has them done in cycle A, B, C, but for each of the A's, he has all of the different assignments he was in, and he noted the date and the masses he preached at, 9 and 11, the old mission. Not at OMC, the deacon preached. But they're jewels, and they're sprinkled with this sports interest, tongue-in-cheek stuff about the Chargers, the Padres, and Super Bowl parties, and you know the rest of the stories. Many of you have been to it. But he lived a balanced life. And he taught me many lessons that I will treasure for my remaining years in ministry. But the messages that have come in to express gratitude for the way he touched so many of your lives have been, for me, very uplifting to read. By email, by text message, by card. He touched your lives in many different ways. And Father Donny Sheehan gave a beautiful reflection on Tom's ministry in this diocese last evening at the vigil service. And he talked too about shepherding, because anything you heard last Sunday in whatever parish you went to Mass, we validate that for your priest too. So we won't repeat any of that. But he was a man who knew how to shepherd. But he shepherded best by inviting people in to collaborate with him. He was a man before his time of helping the parishioners become competent, become able to truly minister with him. And that is his great success, enabling people to join in his ministry. And he had some beautiful assignments. He loved all of his assignments, and he loved the parishioners in every parish. And he had a tremendous ability when we would sit together, not sipping tea, so we won't go there. He wrote over in his mind all the different connections and relationships among parishioners in parishes he was in. Right, Marion, Prestigian, and all these great people. The barracks out in East County. He loved to talk about all the relationships because he knew his parishioners. He knew them well. He became engaged with them. Whatever was involved, he was there. And he loved the ordinary folk. And he liked best of all a parish that was a cross-section of people. The little folk, the middle grade, then the upper professionals. And he brought them all together, working together. That was his great gift. So a few thoughts about what we're experiencing these days, and we leave it there after that. Some of you will have heard me refer to one of my favorite movies. Bishop McElroy, you have some terrific movies to watch. You still going to the movies? Without your homilies, will you tell us, without any notes about the movies you've seen, and draw wonderful lessons for us. One of my favorites is The Bucket List, and I'm sure many of you have seen The Bucket List. Well, there Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman are both dying of cancer, and they agree that two questions will be asked when we come to St. Peter to enter into heaven. Did you find joy in life? Did you enjoy the world? Enjoy people? The ups and downs of your own life that God gave you? And secondly, did you bring joy to others? These questions are a good measure of any priest's life, but they are certainly questions that we can reflect on with regard to the life of Father Tom. A Pope whom I truly admire very much for many reasons, Pope Paul VI. Speaking of Holy Father, Pope Francis has a lot to say to bishops and priests about being joyful persons. He never stops talking about it. He doesn't want any sour pusses around anymore. And of course, in his latest apostolic exhortation, The Joy of the Gospel, he speaks it very plainly and clearly for us, that we're meant to be persons who preach the gospel with joy, who live joyous lives, and who celebrate joyfully with our parishioners in good times and in bad. And that's what we're doing today. We're celebrating the life of this man, Father Tom, not by any means canonized, a man with his own warts and wrinkles and shadows like all of us, but somebody whom he would say on the Feast of All Saints, who are saints? This is the open every homily on that feast day. Saints are sinners who don't give up, but keep trying. That was his philosophy. Saints are sinners who don't give up, but keep trying. And he did that to the best of his ability. In our second reading today, St. Paul speaks about and reminds us that those who live good lives are truly happy and enjoy the priceless gift of peace of mind and heart. Father Tom underpinned his life, not in any pious way, but with a practical spirituality of prayer every day, good preparation for his homilies on the weekend, through the week, looking at the scriptures, thinking about them, calling Donny Sheehan or Paddy Malarkey for a story, you know, the human side of it all, and celebrating the Eucharist. He loved the Eucharist. Father Donny spoke beautifully about that last evening. He loved the Eucharist. And he had a special humility about celebrating the Eucharist for weddings, for funerals, for anniversaries, whatever. He was there and he made it personal and just down to earth and very warm and beautiful, because the Eucharist is, for all of us as priests, the central reality of our lives, and for our beloved parishioners in all of our parishes and in the parishes where Tom served, very important to you. And that coming together to celebrate the Eucharist gave him the strength he needed to keep going, and hopefully he encouraged you as well in your own lives. Sometimes we pause in silence in the journey of life, and I found myself doing that, certainly realizing some of the challenges that Father Tom faced. Back in 1990, when he was diagnosed with cancer on his pelvic bone, and his wonderful physicians, and they're here today, Rajim Schultz, Bill Bowman, decided to do a very newly invented, created, in medical science, autoclave surgery. You take out the hip, freeze it in similar reality to a microwave, and put it back in again. Well, and we walked, many of us, with Father Tom through that experience, and some wonderful family friends that were there every moment with him, especially during his long recovery. And Bishop Ron, you were back at Santa Sophia for a Holy Thursday celebration, his first Mass back on crutches. You remember that thundering applause that Robert had received when he came back? Brought down the church. But he had that steel ambition to get well again. Went through all of his therapy, and for me, knowing Tom so well, that was a moment that changed his life forever. He, from then on, had developed during that quiet time of recovery in a long period with Larry and Laurie James over in Mission Hills, a practical prayer life for himself. He developed a love for the Liturgy of the Hours, which he would pray faithfully early in the morning when his golf games were early scheduled, right up to the latter time he was able to do it. And he developed a devotion to Mary, and he made a promise to Mary that if he was able to come back to pastoral ministry, he would promote devotion to our Blessed Lady. And he has done that all along. Not overbearingly, but just very practically in his own life, modeling it for his parishioners. John Bonnier, the founder of the Lord Communities, spoke at the University of San Diego quite some years ago, and he said something very profound in one of his lectures. He said that when our lot is cast with someone who is finding his cross or her cross, his or her desert, his or her poverty overwhelming, we are on holy ground. To be with Father Tom during that time of cancer and recovery, and again in latter times, more surgeries, more cancer, and especially in the painful experience of his Alzheimer's in recent years, for those of us who are close to him and with him, it was to be on holy ground. His patience, his tolerance of pain was incredible. And I watched him, and I would say this is very personal to me, letting God be God in his life. Father Hopkins would marvel at that. Tom, in a lot of pain and confusion here at the rectory before he left us. But he was still saying, it's all right, God will take care of me. And he had that simple faith. That's a beautiful faith. Because as Father Sheehan said, he knew the Good Shepherd. And the Good Shepherd did take care of him. And later on at the end, I will express some few words of gratitude to those who ministered to him in a very special way at Nazareth House. I was out at El Camino the other day doing a committal service, and while waiting for the military to do their honours, colour guard and all of that stuff, I was looking at a tombstone there, and it was obviously the tomb of a golfer because on the top of it was written, inscribed in the marble, Dan Dillabo, you'd like this, to be a successful putter, you need a keen eye, a steady hand, and a courageous determination. Is that you, Dan? Okay. Well, Tom had a keen eye. If he needed somebody to do something, he exactly knew who to tip on the shoulder and say, you're the perfect woman or perfect man for this ministry. And no more said. And everyone volunteered, right, Linda? That's the way it was at the mission. Back reception, Santa Sophia, up in Big Bear, and there's many stories about Fort Human and the mission there. Great stories. They were great times. He had a steady hand. He guided his parishioners and parish with a very steady, even key. He was pastoral by nature. He acquired many skills in this diocese which he truly loved. I would often say, when we're chatting, what's your greatest feeling of gratitude in life, Tom? And he'd say, well, of course, my wonderful family, to have grown up in Ireland, the opportunities that I received as a young man, and the Diocese of San Diego. He loved the priests. He loved all the priests he was stationed with. His first assignment was at St. Francis de Sales in Riverside, with Monsignor Peter Lynch, a fellow Irishman, but a pastor of his time. And Monsignor Tony Geeson was his he was with Tom there. And Tony will tell you some good stories about those days. How the sight out of Peter Lynch and got around him and won him over after a while. Because those were the days of the pastors, they were giants. The associates, well, they were there. Okay. So he learned a lot through that. He served with the great Monsignor Frank Dillon for 5 years in Ocean Beach. And Monsignor John Land was pastor of Holy Family in Linda Vista. So Tom stopped in to see John Land on the way down, and he said, any advice? Because Frank had a character notorious among the priests. But he said, Tom, he said, Frank speaks in parables. You'll have to interpret the parables. Tom learned how to interpret those parables very, very well. And they became great friends until Frank passed away. But great stories, I've only told some of them last night. He had a courageous determination to get well when he was sick, to keep going as long as he could in pastoral ministry. And the people here at Immaculate, both at Immaculate Conception and here at our Mother Conference, know how well he participated in retirement, so actively engaged, hearing confessions, celebrating the Eucharist, participating in all of the many activities here in the parish, and visiting the sick. He loved to visit the sick. And towards the latter time, we had some drivers for him, because it became apparent that his driving was a little edgy and dodgy. And Lucy Bogan Goodwin remembers some stories about that, as you drove for him, Betsy and others. But we did finally get him to relinquish the keys and to accept a driver. And he had that courageous determination to keep going. And of course, every year to make his way back to Ireland, to be with the family there, played lots of golf. Colin and his brother Tom arranged many great golf games on the wonderful courses in the south of Ireland. And he looked forward to that so much. He had that determination to play as long as he could. So, there's a little African proverb which says that a tiny drum can get 1,000 people dancing. As Father Sheehan said last night, and I'm consonant with that thought today, Father Tom gave joy to far more than 1,000 people in his long tenure as a priest in ministry in the Diocese of San Diego. He was a faithful shepherd who came to know in his life, through the ups and downs, the Good Shepherd, and who always trusted and encouraged his parishioners that they could do better, that they had so many gifts, just begin using them. We have a lady who comes to our parish here, Lisa Anslinger, to teach us how to live our strengths, our talents. Well, Tom Prendergast had never heard of Lisa Anslinger, but he could write the book. He truly could. We're grateful to God for all he has been to us. And I will end with a little reflection from one of my favorite priests, Cardinal Basil Hume, which he wrote not too long before he died. It's called Eternal Rest. Cardinal Hume writes, Faith admits us into death's secrets. Death is not the end of the road, but a gateway to a better place. It is in this place that our noblest aspirations will be realized. It is here that we will understand how our experiences of goodness, love, beauty and joy are realities which exist perfectly in God. It is in heaven that we shall rest in Him, and our hearts will be restless unto the rest in God. You, Father Tom, are now on your way to union with that God who loved you so in your life's journey. He knows the love you shared for others. I pray, we pray, dear friend, that you rest eternally. Homer sometimes nods, and I forgot something very important that I have a note here, and that's to thank Bishop Ron in a very special way for your friendship and your kindness.